Atirar areia para os olhos, to throw sand into the eyes, is a Portuguese expression that means to make one believe something that isn't quite true. And Portuguese houses might as well be built in the desert because you will have that deceiving sand coming from every direction. I'm Mar, your Portuguese interior designer, and this is part 2 of learning how to inspect your Portuguese home like a real pro. We covered all things location, exteriors, and visual identification of issues on part 1, but let's face it, now you want to walk in and be able to understand if that house you're about to buy or to rent is just a rotten chaos in a pretty wrap. And I promise you that by the end of this video, the only sand entering your eyes will come from your favorite beach in a windy August day. So let's get started. When entering the house or apartment, you will want to activate your ninja senses, taking a good look, listening, smelling, and being touchy-touchy are your most important inspection tools. Let's start with concern number 1, moisture, humidity, and thermal comfort. As you probably know by now, the whole humidity situation is Portugal's dirty little secret, due mainly to the climate and the overall very poor construction. When addressing humidity, you will want to pay attention to 5 areas. Walls and ceiling. Look for peeling paint, bubbling plaster, saltpeter, and rising damp. Touch the walls and notice any surface moist or temperature fluctuations, which might signal poor insulation and trapped humidity. Look for uneven sanding or paint texture, as patchy repairs may be covering up deeper issues that were never properly addressed. This is more common in Portugal than you might think, to just cover up ongoing issues with a fresh coat of paint instead of, fix them. Number 2 is floors and baseboards. Check for warped floorboards, lifted tiles, or damp patches, particularly near windows, bathrooms, and kitchens. Baseboards can also reveal mold, mildew, and rising damp. Number 3 is windows. Single glazing is a major source of both heat loss and condensation, so if the house doesn't have double glazing, consider that as an extra expense that you might have. Look for condensation between panes or around frames and check for drafts. You can run your hand along the edges to feel for air leaks. Window sills can easily develop mold in humid environments, so check the silicone for black spots or discoloration. Number 4 is ventilation. Poor airflow traps moisture and makes temperature swings worse. Strong extractor fans are small and powerful bathroom and kitchen essentials. Also, don't overlook the importance of cross ventilation and make sure it is possible throughout the property, especially, as we saw on part 1, in south and west facing facades. And number 5, cabinets and built-in wardrobes. When visiting a property, particularly a still inhabited one, it might feel a little awkward to open cabinets. But we need to normalize being the weirdo checking those areas. Why? Because they tell you so much about the possible ongoing moisture issues. So don't be shy. Ask for permission and open the bathroom cabinet, the kitchen sink and corner cabinets, and in closets, the sections near windows and adjacent to walls. Look for any patches, warped materials, and give it a big sniff to check for moldy or damp smells. Musty smells are a huge red flag throughout any property, so pay special attention to that. And if you notice a strong marine or fresh pine scent in a Febreze kind of way, either a last-minute poop was taken prior to your arrival or concerning moisture scents are trying to be concealed. A pro tip is to bring a small hygrometer with you to check for humidity levels, which should be below 60%. Also, the best time for moisture assessment is during or immediately after rainy periods. That's why winter is prime time for property hunt, And summer is prime time to conceal everything and pretend there are no issues. Concern number 2, insulation and acoustics. On part 1, we went through the most common types of constructions and what to expect, but a piece of Portuguese knowledge that should go hand in hand with differentiating obrigado from obrigada is that properties built before the 2000s lack proper insulation. You will get extreme cold, extreme heat, and your neighbor as your unsolicited housemate. Here you should look into 3 areas. Once again, windows, always double glazed, as this will also help with both sound and temperature. Number 2, walls and floors. Tapping on interior walls can disclose hollow sounds, meaning little to no insulation and easier sound transfer. If possible, visiting during the week towards the end of the day, at a time when people are most likely coming back from work and starting to prepare dinner. Any traveling sounds will be more noticeable. Number 3 is doors. Doors can be as thin as the patience to stand in line in a Costa da Caparica traffic jam. Solid or insulated doors are better against both noise and temperature changes. Always be sure to close all the doors and look for gaps that might let in drafts and sound. When visiting the house or apartment, it is really important to know what to look for and having a solid structure. For the most part, you should trust your realtor or the house owner, but sometimes when you ask if there are any humidity issues, the answer might be
mold. Nah, this is Portuguese character, patina. Agora mold.
In Portuguese, we call this being a chico esperto, meaning someone who consciously tries to deceive you in a smart-ass kind of way. I don't like chic espertos, and you should be able to identify them too. That's why I've put together the Portuguese Home Inspection Checklist, a practical tool for you to bring during your visits that will help you make more empowered decisions. I will tell you all about it at the end of this video. Concern number 3, hidden systems. Saint-Exupéry said, "The essential is invisible to the eye." I'm pretty sure he wasn't talking about houses here, but this most certainly applies. Here, 2 main areas are important. First of all, plumbing. Either you have long hair, no hair, or just want to have a really good cry in the shower while listening to Whitney Houston, you deserve rust-free, strong water pressure. Many older homes in Portugal still have galvanized iron or lead pipes, which can cause low pressure, rusty water and health concerns. But how can you spot them without casually tearing apart some walls during your visit? Mainly through water pressure and visible corrosion signs. Test all taps, showers and toilets for pressure and flow. Low water pressure can mean old or corroded pipes, or even weak municipality supply. Inconsistent or slow drainage signs unwanted blockages. If you hear banging or rattling when turning off the tap, this is called water hammer and can signal unsecured pipes or pressure issues. Check the exposed piping under the sink for signs of corrosion, lime scale or leaking joints. Under sink installations frequently use cheap MDF cabinetry, which means that even small leaks become rot and mold quickly. Notice any silicone and tape patches under sinks, which can signal recurring or poorly addressed leaks. Also check for hot water delay, usually tied to where the boiler is located, a small detail that can lead to huge water waste. Secondly, electrical systems. Properties pre-1980s often have limited circuits with entire rooms on a single bracket. That's why you will soon find out that running your washer and your oven at the same time is not as straightforward as you might think. Knowing when the electrical circuit was last updated and if it supports the voltage for your lifestyle needs is crucial and can save you from unwanted investments. You know, as Portuguese can be very resourceful and very creative, But sometimes we like to release our inner Picassos in a do-it-yourself electrical installation. You will have very dangerous, very overloaded extensions, wires along walls, often over faucets, because we also like to live dangerously. So pay special attention behind kitchen appliances, laundry areas and marquees for those improvised art attack installations. This happens mostly due to the number of outlets per room, which are kept to a minimum and may require upgrading, which can also be costly. Turn on the lights and notice any flickering, as it can signal a circuit overload or undersized wiring. Warm outlets and switches are also a sign of poor connections and a potential fire hazard. As far as energy efficiency is concerned, also check if any recessed lights are LED or if it's possible to install them. Lastly, concern number 4 might be something that you are not considering, but I want to address it as an extra tip, and that is to look into the common circulation areas and stairways, particularly in a building. This can give you some important first warning signs, overall properties maintenance status, and clues about comfort and safety. It can even signal hidden moisture problems or poor air ventilation that may affect the entire building and inside your apartment, even if not immediately visible. Access and safety is also often overlooked, but is particularly important, especially for people with kids and my ladies out there living alone. The existence of surveillance cameras, motion sensor lighting, and clear visibility can bring you peace of mind, especially if you are new to the area. Also check mailboxes for signs of forced entry, which can indicate careless access to the building's interior, particularly in urban areas. With all this information, you might be thinking, okay, Mar, but what is a normal flaw and when do I need to call a professional? If you are new to the Portuguese house market or thinking about renovating an old house, my advice is to always call a professional inspection prior to signing anything. In any case, some of the biggest red flags include major cracks or structural movement, wide, diagonal or growing cracks in walls, sagging ceilings or floors that feel uneven or bouncy can point to serious structural issues. Presence of toxic materials such as asbestos and lead paints. Unexpected odors or air quality issues. Notice that in Portugal it's very common to use pure bleach in stairways and common areas, which can obviously lead to respiratory discomfort but also mask underlying moisture issues. Electrical hazards such as flickering lights, warm outlets or switches and exposed wires, and plumbing issues such as persistent leaks, rusty water, low pressure or visible corrosion on pipes. In real estate, as in love, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. But we've all been blinded, and I know how challenging it can be making big decisions in a foreign country, especially dealing with different construction techniques, very specific vocabulary, all the legal matters. It can be overwhelming. That's why I've put together an exclusive package of resources tailored to all of you, trying to make Portugal feel a little bit more like home. This How to Inspect Your Portuguese Home Like a Pro bundle includes a comprehensive Portuguese home inspection checklist, covering all things location, exterior and interiors, divided by sections and rooms, and a glossary of Portuguese design terms, including building and renovation vocabulary, materials and legal terms, because what the hell is that licença de utilização you always hear about? This is a professional developed resource available to purchase. I will leave the link in the description box so it can get yours if it makes sense to you. As a brand new channel, your support means the world to me and is key to bring you curated content. So if this video helped you, please don't forget to like, subscribe, tell me all about your experiences and send it to that friend who's thinking about buying a house in Portugal. Muitíssimo obrigada for being here with me today, and I'll see you soon on my next video. Ciao, ciao!